All right, hi everybody. My name is Markus, and today I'm going to present our paper that we called Look, it's a computer program, it's an algorithm, it's AI. Does terminology affect human perceptions and evaluations of algorithmic decision-making systems? The starting point for our paper was that in public discussions in the media and in policymaking, there are various terms that are used to refer to algorithmic decision-making or ADM systems. For instance, in the European Commission's ethic guidelines for trustworthy AI, they are called algorithms, AI, systems, or robots. In the GDPR, they are referred to as automated means, and in the media, they are called intelligent systems or robotic systems. Also, researchers used a full range of possible terminology to refer to ADM systems in papers, but more importantly, in studies with human participants. And based on that, we proposed that using different terms to refer to ADM systems affects human perceptions and evaluations of ADM systems. We propose that variation in terminology can affect the robustness and replicability of research, and we propose that terminology can be used strategically to steer human perceptions and evaluations of ADM systems. We conducted two studies to test our proposals. In study 1, we examined the terminology and perceptions of ADM systems, as well as the terminology and perceived ability to perform different tasks. In study 2, we investigated terminology and evaluations of ADM systems and the robustness and replicability of research. Okay, in study 1, which terms did we use? We were inspired by the literature review by Langer and Lenders, and they found that the following terms were used in previous research to refer to ADM systems. Things like algorithm, computer program, or decision support system. In study 1, a prolific online study, we had 10 between subject conditions where we experimentally manipulated the terminology to refer to ADM systems. So each participant was only presented with one term. Then we measured dependent variables that were possible to measure without any context. We measured tangibility, complexity, perceived controllability, familiarity, anthropomorphism, and machine competence. For instance, participants in the condition algorithm read algorithms can be used flexibly for various tasks, and then they responded between strongly disagree and strongly agree. In another condition, they would have read AI can be used flexibly for various tasks. What we found that terminology affects all perceptions we measured. So for all perception, there was variation depending on the term that was used. For instance, artificial intelligence was perceived as having higher machine competence than automated systems or computer programs. In part 2 of the study, we had another dependent variable. In this part, we investigated perceptions of whether the term or a human being is better able to conduct 13 different tasks. For instance, participants read algorithms can make shopping recommendations worse than a human, as good as a human, or better than a human. And for this study, we found that there were no significant effects of terminology, which we interpreted that if you compare an ADM system to a human being, people will always probably reduce the ADM system to not a human being. But what we found is that there was substantial variation between the tasks regarding whether humans or ADM systems were perceived to be better able to perform these tasks. For instance, ADM systems were in general perceived to be better able to make work schedules than humans, but humans were perceived to be better at diagnosing mental illnesses. Let's continue with study 2. In study 2, we also conducted a prolific online study where we used Lee's 2018 study protocol and the vignettes she used in her study, but we varied the term to refer to the ADM system. Lee examined trust and fairness evaluations regarding an algorithm versus a human manager as decision-making agents for different tasks. What we did a 7x2 between subject design. So each participant was presented with one task and one term. The 7 refers to 6 terms taken from study 1, plus the condition human manager, and the 2 refers to work evaluation versus work assignment tasks. The dependent variables were trust, fairness, procedural justice, looked like this. So for instance, in the condition algorithm and work evaluation, participants were presented with the following vignette. In a customer service center, an algorithm evaluates employees by analyzing the content and tone of their calls with customers. Chris works at the customer service center. Based on past call recordings, the algorithm evaluates his performance. And then the participants responded to fairness and trust and procedural justice items. The results here. First, we compared the terms to the artificial intelligence group again, and we found that terminology does affect evaluations of trust and fairness. So we found, for instance, stronger trust and fairness for the term algorithm compared to the term artificial intelligence. Furthermore and moreover, this time we compared the terms to the group human manager, and we found that terminology led to different conclusions in comparison to the group human manager. So Lee also used the term human manager and then algorithm, but we found, for instance, for the term computer program, that there were no significant differences for the task work assignment compared to the human manager. So no difference between those for the trust evaluation, but we found significant differences for the term algorithm. So the conclusions regarding our propositions based on these findings. Terminology to refer to ADM systems does affect human perceptions and evaluations of ADM systems. Terminology can also affect robustness and replicability of research. We would have come to different conclusions than Lee in her study just because we used different terminology. And terminology, which we can also conclude, can be used strategically to steer human perceptions and evaluations of ADM systems, because it may have different effects to call ethic guidelines for trustworthy AI compared to guidelines for trustworthy computer programs. And it may also have different effects to claim that companies use AI in their products compared to statistical methods. All right, 2 recommendations for research in the end. Although other choices may have stronger effects on results, for instance, what measure to use, in which contexts ADM systems operate, terminology is an easily controllable facet of studies. So please mindfully consider what term to use to describe ADM systems to participants and clearly report in the methodology section of papers what term was used. Those are the references, and I want to thank for your attention.